pledge allegiance to the flag. Wishes, one nation, under God.
Roll call.
Here.
Take a moment to
Present.
remind everyone to talk into the mic.
Present.
I'll be here. Be here. Let's see. Betty Harris Howard is unable to attend this evening. She wasn't feeling well. Rick Dory,
Present.
Greg Stewart,
Present.
and Brent McCarthy.
Present.
So we do have a quorum.
And I still have to appoint Brent as a voting member, right?
Yes, please.
So appointed.
Thank you, sir.
Next is election of officers. It's an annual process and we're due to do it. So I'll entertain, how do you want to do it? You, one office like chair, vice chair and secretary separate?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion, motions for, nominations for chair.
Make a nomination. Rick Dory.
Or a second?
Second.
Any other motion?
Nope.
I'm
All in
sorry,
favor?
Who made the second to that? Brent? Okay, thank you.
Don was a second. Well,
Don seconded it.
I think
Okay.
they all.
I think we all
seconded
did.
at the same
Everybody-
time.
Any of us, we all put
It's
it.
unanimous.
Yeah.
all in favor? All in favor? Okay. Next is vice chair nominations.
It is our vice.
Betty,
Betty is,
I nominate Betty.
there a second? Any other nominations? Nomination cease, all in favor? Vote. Next is secretary. I nominate Jamie. No, I don't get to do that. Go ahead. Whoever.
I'll nominate Jamie.
Second?
Second.
Brent seconded. Any other nominations? Nomination cease. All in favor? No, thank you.
Thank you. Apologize, Mr. Chairman. I just had this on earlier. If I could just have a moment to see why it's not.
It says adjustment of agenda.
Oh, no, I think she's trying to get the video
The
thing.
video isn't showing.
She's working on the computer thing, so.
Showing here.
Yeah, he's a different water district. Yeah, and they said they thought it'd be a conflict for him being here, being the superintendent, because sometimes he has to come to the planning. So they said they asked him to.
Oh, let me just make sure it's all.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
We have a mic for the
Was surprised.
podium.
I think he just wants the benefits. of routine
I see.
visit. It's understood. In the middle of the night.
I know, yeah.
Well, it's showing up here, but not for some reason here. So let me, if there's a gentleman present, if I could just ask. Joe, could you unmute yourself and let us know if you could see and hear us?
Anybody online can hear us?
Video is good from Zoom.
Okay. So
You can hear us okay? Maybe he might have been on here too.
he must not, because yeah, you asked it over the phone,
Yeah.
so he must have been able to hear you.
Okay,
He's his hand, right?
we seem to be all set.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, gave us a thumbs up. Good.
I think we're there. All right,
Thank you.
next item is adjustment of the agenda.
So there were some things that were on the agenda that posted, you and I had talked about that aren't available until the workshop at the next meeting. So the minutes is one of them.
We don't have the minutes.
No.
Okay.
So we have two sets that were behind, so that will be three. And then you had asked about 77 Turtle Run, and I had a call from the applicant, so I'll give you a status report on that. I added that on there. And then just a meeting reminder about the council meeting tomorrow night, and then the status of the ordinance changes. And I did provide some materials for you on that this evening that I can go over when we get to those items. But the other items were just continued to the workshop.
Ready for 6A?
Sorry?
Are we ready for 6A?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Moving to 6A, 2600 US Route 202 Cottage Antiques. Who's speaking? You speaking? We have a mic right over here, please, at the podium, and just brief us on what your plan is and anything you'd like to share.
Zoning amendment. Dawn, do we have an application?
That was handed out.
You gave it out at the last meeting and I couldn't find it either, so.
I apologize. I was not here at the prior meeting. I apologize.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
I did review it online, but
I was just gonna, I do have a copy right here. I actually,
I can look off Greg's. I'm fine.
Hi, my name is Ann McKenna, my husband David Banta, and we are excited with our proposal to open up an antique shop in our home. We are located across from, I think it's the second hole at the Augusta Country Club, that old big gray farmhouse with the big white barn in the back. It had been we bought that house many years ago, and we're just looking forward to opening up a fun business. My retail experience has been that many years ago, my daughter was a figure skater, so I ended up opening a pro shop. So then it grew and I opened up 3 pro shops. I don't know if anybody has seen any of the latest about the Olympics, but figure skating is a pretty pricey sport. So pro shops worked for us. I also owned a flower shop for about 7 years. And my recent business, we closed that 2 years ago, and it was a home care company, and we were very successful here in Maine for many years. Took care of a lot of people in the Augusta, Winthrop, Wayne, and just central Maine area. There will probably be about 6 vendors in our property, and there won't be any site changes. Nothing has to be moved or any of that stuff. We have ample parking. There'll be 2 handicap well, even more if we need be. We do have handicap accessible parking. And we're just looking forward to opening this up. We hope to open at the end of the last week in April or the beginning of May.
Chairman? Mr. Chairman? Just want to add one piece of information. I did provide the applicant this evening with just a printed copy of a driveway permit application for the state, because it's a state road and they're changing from residential. So, and I also will send her the link to that webpage where they have directions and that. So I had indicated to her that it probably would be a condition of approval, so she has that information.
All set?
Yeah. Any
Questions?
questions?
Brent?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the presentation. I had 2 questions. The first one was exactly what Dawn had just mentioned, was a driveway entrance, because I know you're on top of the hill and kind of as a corner there, which can be a tricky spot because I drive it about 20 times a day. So I'd be anxious to see, hopefully you get through that process with DOT. The second question I had was signage. What are you proposing for signage?
It won't be a lit sign. It will be a wooden sign. And we'll follow the guidelines on the size, whatever the specifications are with the town.
Very good. Thank you. That's all I have for questions.
Sure.
Thank you. Greg?
Can you just tell me a little bit about the driveway issue? What happens with that?
As far as I understand it, and someone else can jump in and correct me, DOT looks to see, is there adequate sight distance? So as people are turning into your driveway, are there people coming up behind that person that's turning that are going to have an adequate line of sight to see brake lights, to see a blinker, or is there a blind area? And that's one of the things they're looking for. We recently here in Winthrop with TJ's Pizza up on top of the hill where DR Struck was at, they applied for their permit and DOT came out and looked and said, well, you actually have to move your driveway. You can't have an in and out there because it's on the top of that hill and it can be a tricky spot as far as traffic flow goes. So I think that's generally what they're looking for is line of sight to make sure that people can see people turning in and people turning out.
Okay.
In White Duck and the brew pub was similar situation on the
Okay,
other side of the hill,
okay,
same issue.
gotcha. But they got their permits okay at White Duck and,
Yeah, I don't,
Will we expect a site visit from the state?
believe you have to request it. I believe it's something you have to file and request with the state and to
With
say-
the application they're
Yep.
going to give me?
I think that you can talk to Mark about that, but I believe that's what happens is you have to say, I'm moving to a commercial business. I'm going to have people coming in and out. It's not a resident. So when you make that switch, they want to evaluate your driveway location for safety.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to say like, no, you can't have a driveway. That's not going to happen. It's more of they want to evaluate, can we move it reasonably? Like for TJ's, they moved it down the road a little bit because now you have a little better visualization of what's going on for traffic coming in and out.
Yeah, it's interesting. That house used to have a driveway that went all the way around the property. So I don't think that would, we can just mark it.
It's just something they'll help you look at where that location is and they have to approve it because it's a state route.
Sure, I
So,
understand. All right, thanks.
yeah, so I had two questions. So
Yes.
first was parking. It sounds like you addressed that.
Yes,
So you've got plenty of parking. You can meet the town ordinance and you're not changing your impervious cover and
no,
you've already got that as parking area.
yes,
So my second question is so part of our requirements is you're going from residential to commercial. So we have to do a phosphorus assessment. So Bill McGonigal with the Kennebec, with the Cobussy Water District does the assessments for DEP and for us. So they do the assessment to make sure that your business is not going to be putting out too much phosphorus for the size of your property. So, and he's willing to do those. That's something we just need to see that we don't have with the application. So just so you're kind of aware, we need that phosphorus assessment to make sure that you've gone through that process before you get a permit.
so how do I do that again, Greg?
So Bill McGonigal is Cobussy Water District. Talk to Dawn. I mean, she'll make sure it's a new commercial. You are a new commercial business in Winthrop. That's all you have to say. Bill McGonigal said he will look at all commercial businesses. He will help you. He's going to use the ortho photo and your sight lines, the property lines. And essentially the assessment is looking for, if you have a very tiny property with a whole lot of parking, there's going to be a lot of phosphorus runoff. So you're going to have contamination and you might have to pay an assessment fee for possible damages to to the water where that phosphorus is going to run into. So one of the ways that they do that is they look at the size of your property and it's not where the business is going, it's the total size of your lot. So, and there may be a requirement that you're not going to be allowed to add impervious cover without possibly paying something extra. So if you already have a lot, all of that already existing, it's just going to be an evaluation because you're going from residential, which is somewhat grandfathered to what you're at, to commercial, that assessment has to be done. So, because residential doesn't necessarily have to pay those fees, commercial might, but it depends on the size of your lot. It has a lot to do with how much impervious or non-vegetated area you have on your property. So the bigger your property is, the less likely you'd have to deal with anything. I didn't look up how big your lot is and how much space you have. But sometimes that's a driver. You have a question? Colin?
So I was just gonna make an observation that I did not flag this for the applicant.
Okay.
But I can share the digital version of her application and the contact information for, Bill.
Okay. Do you know off the top of your head how big your lot is? Just roughly?
Okay, and other than the part we can see from the road where the house and the property is there anything else that's unvegetated? Not lawn, unvegetated, meaning something that's like driveway or structures or anything like that. Just the barn that was on the schematic that you gave us. So, okay, so I'm not speaking for Bill. He'll do the assessment, but I don't think with 3 acres, you're gonna have to necessarily pay any kind of significant fee or anything like that. So we just got to make sure we have that to complete the application pack.
Okay. Great.
Bill's office is down below the police station, the next driveway down.
Okay, great. So I'll address that tomorrow. Then is he?
Do you have his number handy? Bill's number?
But I will.
But you can get it to him.
Meeting center that.
Okay, very
It's
good.
a state requirement to do a phosphorus assessment on all commercial buildings. So, and Bill McGonigal, because we're in the Cobussy watershed, he's allowed to do that for state. So it's something it would be done by DEP, but in this case, Bill McGonigal's allowed to do that for them. So that's where I'm saying it's not like he's a private entity, even though it sounds like it with Cobussy watershed, but they're almost quasi-state because they take on the responsibility of doing the phosphorus assessment for commercial properties in the Cobussy watershed. So I just want to make sure you have the context that it's not anything strange or weird. It's just he's basically the state spokesman and will do the assessment. And I can't speak for him. He's got the numbers. He'll do the calculations. But I'm just saying, I don't think you're going to run into much of a problem with that size lot. It's
Okay.
really for properties where you're paving or building and establishing a large portion of the lot. The bigger your lot is, and it's unvegetated. So lawn is fine, trees are fine. It's the phosphorus runoff that we're trying to calculate and capture.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
And again, I just want to stress, I'll help you connect, because I know this is new information to you this evening. I'll make sure I get that email to you and I'll help.
Okay, great.
Just wondering, you said 6 men. They will be there all.
No,
I have nothing.
Dawn?
I just want to observe, and I know you were all part of the email, but the applicant and for this application and for the second sketch discussion tonight, we're ready Saturday morning to do a site visit, and I couldn't get it organized in time to get a quorum and notice it. So you should determine if you still want to do a site visit and schedule that.
Okay, week from Saturday, what you're saying. Next is what, the audience? Public?
They were noticed.
Anyone in the audience want to add anything, ask anything? How about online? Anybody online have a question?
We have the one person commented so far.
They raise a hand? Did they raise a hand? Or-
Nope.
No, okay. So, and to summarize, the application not complete, right?
You could make a decision and make driveway permit and the phosphorus contingent upon, or you could.
And the DOT, the driveway issue and the DOT and the phosphorus. What's the? I'll make that a motion.
Can I ask a quick question to the applicant? The parking spots that you have identified on your schematic, I assume that those are not existing now, except the ones maybe out by the front of the house, but the ones off to the side, I think you've got 5 different spots. Is that all just grass now? Okay, so that's the type of question I think Bill is going to want to ask you, is because the grass can capture rainwater, treat it, filter it before it gets down to the lake. And if you change that from grass to gravel or tar or something along those lines, that's not going to have that same assimilative capacity as grass would. So that's kind of the question that Bill will ask you. So
Okay,
just a heads up. Thank you.
thanks.
Also, I just want to note that a change like that would also require coming back to the planning board. if they changed a grassed area to gravel or paved.
I think that's what they're proposing in the application, though. I didn't read that specifically, but
Well, my understanding is it's overflow parking. Is that,
Yeah,
so
okay.
I guess we should be clear on that when you make a decision as to what it is you are approving.
Being a small business, I mean, based on our ordinance, it was like 6 to 8 spaces, right? So they wouldn't need to have, I'm just trying to get the assessment. They wouldn't need to have all those spaces.
I wouldn't think so.
Not for small, I mean, we're calling this a small business based on the square footage, based on, I went through the guidelines that I wrote on how to find the business, and it came out with small business. So this is a small commercial business. And based on that, the spaces, 6 to 8 spaces seem to fit parking requirements. So I don't think those extra spaces would be needed.
You,
I believe I had suggested maybe even identifying potentially overflow parking. So I hope I didn't throw a wrench into it.
Well, again, if she's changing that to go to Brent's point, if you're going to make changes like that, where you're going to, let's say you pave it, you put in gravel, you're now changing the runoff coefficients, you're now changing, that's not vegetated anymore. It's now non-vegetated. So that'll change your phosphorus calculations. So it is important to make sure we make that determination. You know, if you have overflow one day and somebody parks on the lawn, it's like, that's not necessarily the same thing
right.
as creating spaces that people are going to be routinely using. And based on the size of this business, the business portion of it, I don't think we're talking about moving to medium or needing more parking.
I think the parking existing conditions are adequate. And so then maybe we should take that off the plan, and I can note in the notice that that there is, you know, take that off the plan and note that it's based on existing conditions. And that way, if they wanted to come back for something that they needed permanent.
That's fine. Yeah, and if they expanded the size, they'd have to come back to us and move from small to medium business. You'd have to come back for a different permit.
So we'll take that off of the plan. Okay.
That's
These
my
parking spots up here, take them off.
remove overflow parking.
That's the overflow up
Intended
here.
consequence.
That would make things easier with Bill and the watershed district.
thanks.
So, yes.
Appreciate it.
So I'm back to application complete. There's 2 items outstanding. The third item you just added was to remove that part of the application to simplify it. What's the desire of the board at this point?
I'm satisfied that they provided what I, as a board member, need to see to approve an application. Granted, they still need to talk to DOT. She's got to talk to Bill and revise this to take out the 5 or 6 extra parking spots. But I think I've got enough to make a decision.
I'll take that as a motion.
I would make a motion that we accept the application for processing. And the application is complete for processing.
There a second?
Second,
Discussion?
I think the application's complete.
All in favor? So basically, that's the first step where we voted to say the application complete. The next step is to approve or not approve the application. What's the desire of the board?
Motion to contingent. Do I have to read it?
I can do it if you want.
Yeah, can you?
Yeah, sure. I'll make a motion that the case 2600 US Route 202 Cottage Antiques, map 55, lot 06, be approved with the following conditions. Number 1, that they will remove the overflow parking indicated on the map to show that there will not be overflow parking developed. Number 2, that they will get their DOT approval for their right-of-way, their access to Route 202, and get that approved. And number 3, that they will have their phosphorus assessment done by the Cobussy watershed.
There a second?
Second.
Brent seconded. Discussion? All in favor? Okay, so just summarize that the application been approved, subject to those 3. So you won't get a permit until those 3 are met.
Put that in writing for her as well when I reach out to her tomorrow. That'll be.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck with your business.
Okay, next.
I'll be stopping in. I love antiques. That we have a cute little small business.
Item B on 6.
This is 65 Woodlawn Lane, and again, they were ready to have a site walk on Saturday, and unfortunately that didn't happen, but you could schedule one still. This is not a notice to the abutters. It's a sketch discussion. So it's still appropriate to take input if anyone from the public would like to speak. And we're getting from the member who is here, or the public, there's difficulty hearing people, so we must need to all lean into our microphones. So hear a presentation, have some discussion, see if public is present, would like to speak. And then they will submit whatever additional or amended information they need for it to be noticed for the next meeting. So I would say,
You're on 7A then?
correct.
Okay, I was asking about 6B.
I didn't, yeah, no, this is,
I'm going by the order here.
do you want me to back up to the,
Yeah,
okay, sorry.
not going to take too long. If not, I'd love to do 7A, but
So we have talked about this a number of times as to the status, because technically 30 days after you have a public hearing for an application, you're supposed to make a decision unless it's a mutually agreed upon extension by the applicant and the board member. And this is where we've talked about the accepting it complete, starting the clock. And so this application at Turtle Run Road has been going on, I think you accepted it as complete June 11th. And then there was a public hearing maybe August, but it was prior to the fall. So we wanted to clean this up and take some action so it's not just hanging out there. And I did talk to the town attorney and say, how should we handle this? And then in the interim, I was contacted by Zach, one of the owners of the project. And he indicated that they would like to come forward for a decision based on shared parking, not conveying out parking with the condos, so essentially not changing the use. That was last week, and I asked him to put something in writing. So I'm going to reach out to him again and ask him either to withdraw the application or to submit that information for the next meeting. And alternatively, I'll ask Phil, the town attorney, what type of action the board should take if neither of those things occur. Because technically, if you don't have the information you need, you'd have to deny it. So a withdrawal is easier for the applicant unless they're ready to move forward. Otherwise, it potentially could be a denial.
so when do they intend to come forward?
When I talked to him last week, I thought I was going to get something in writing after that, so maybe I misunderstood. They're ready to come forward, but I need some documentation indicating an updated plan, new information, at least a narrative telling us where we're at. So
We have no direction from our lawyer.
no, other than when you do hold a meeting to make a decision, that we should notice it because it's been a substantial amount of time since the public was put on notice, because usually you either continue to a date and time specific, you don't have to renotice. You've tabled it and it's been a long time, so it's not on anyone's radar. So just to be, conservative in that, let the public know, and then you could make a decision, and that could be either the applicant submits information that you're considering, they withdraw the application, or you make a decision based on what you have. So I guess that it was the attorney's.
When was the last time we officially met with them? Talking about the board.
I apologize. I don't have that history in front of me.
July?
Is it?
June or July, maybe?
You said mention August. I don't know what the,
I know in June you accepted as complete and you had a public
they've been
hearing
that
after
long?
that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe
Well,
July.
I guess my position and why Don's brought it up is that this has lingered.
Yeah.
And we've all been subject to the blame for it not moving forward for almost a year now. I just thought it was appropriate for the board to review it, make a decision what they want to do with it. Seems like we just get put to the next meeting, the next meeting, the next meeting, next meeting. And I think we had, what, a 35-day? Once we indicated application complete, which is July, we had 35 days to make a decision. All right.
To have a public hearing, which you held, and then from the public hearing, you have, no, I want to say 30, but you have to make a decision. But
Been longer
it
than
was
that
mutually
anyway. So,
agreed upon that you would continue it for additional information or questions answered.
correct, which we didn't get. Which we did not get.
Not recently.
Is there any update, or can you share any update of their discussions with the town manager and the code enforcement officer, yourself and McGonigal Bill?
Yeah, so there was discussion with the public works director, myself, and code enforcement about parking in the right of way. And there was an agreement that would be resolved. There was boulders and signage. And so the public works director had come up with an alternative plan, like suboptimal, right? Everyone gave a little. I haven't been out there to see if those changes have been made. There are still violations and discussion that are progressing towards compliance. And they applied for a special amusement permit before the council. The council is looking at some amendments to that ordinance. And there's been discussions at those public meetings with the applicant about how this would apply to them and how to resolve conflict with their neighbor. I've not participated in that, but I have been, listened to some of the meetings, so that's ongoing.
So the concerns that Bill and the Water District expressed about that area being filled and being resource protection, I mean, them coming back, absent that being resolved, I don't think I want to answer a question on whether they can park there and have shared parking, and that's just me, but I'd like to see some resolution to that, whether the watershed district is going to allow that, or if they're going to pursue enforcement, or where that stands, that whole parking area. I mean, I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense for us to vote to say, yes, you can use that as parking when it may be illegal fill in the first place.
So the status of that, my understanding, and it sounds like yours was as well, that when they moved forward, they were going to address the parking. And they had reached out to Bill Monagle, they met on site, they had discussions, and then we didn't really hear anything. And then Zach reached out and said, well, we're not going to expand the parking, we're going to use what we have and have it be an existing use. But then I haven't heard further, so I will reach out to him
Okay.
again and ask, are you going to move forward with that? Do you want to withdraw it and you know, decide what you're going to do? But if they don't move forward, it is a violation. So,
Then I think I'd probably make a motion at that point to deny without prejudice, so that they could deny it, it's done, it's off our docket. Then they can come back at some point once they've got their ducks in a row.
Well, there's two other issues. We had asked for information on separation of the marina and the condominium, both ramp, fuel depot, the cafeteria, the cafe rather, separating those from future condominium. And the other one was the parking around the hotel and the permanency of that, or lack of. Another issue too. Oh, looking at what the updates were to the condominium guidelines were, which we never saw. Those two, at least those two things are outstanding that we haven't heard back from in months. So, so our options are,
I'm not asking you to take an action this evening. Nothing's been noticed.
I'm asking the board what their desire is. So what are those options?
That you could put it on the next agenda and we would notice it accordingly. And then you could make a decision in the
We
end
table it, that's tabling, or
of the agenda because it's just been,
moving to the next agenda? And the other one is rejecting the application?
would you like me to notice it on the agenda for the next meeting? And then you could take it.
Okay, so either way, we got to be on the next agenda to take an action, okay?
And I will communicate directly with the applicants. I can send them the link to this video so they can understand, and hopefully between now and then we'll have an understanding of where we're going.
Does the board support that approach?
I think it makes sense at this point. You know, we've gone to what you consider reached a reasonable amount of time for them. I mean, but if they came back to Dawn and requested further extension for them to collect this information we're requiring, I don't have a problem continuing to table it. I would like them to make the choice. If they're saying no, they want us to make a decision, fine, we'll make a decision. So I think that's reasonable. Just to say, hey, we're checking back with you. We want to put it on next time's agenda. We can either continue to table it based on their request, or we can make a decision on it.
We got to take an action. My opinion.
I just had, what did they say they're going to do? They're not going to have any designated parking?
So one of the things that happened was in the condominium plan, they were going to convey out parking spaces per
Right.
unit, then left no parking for marina. So we talked about parking across the street, which led to discussions about how it's currently being used, what was approved. So in the end, they decided that, this is my understanding from my conversation last week, is they want to move forward as an existing use, not change anything except for convey out the units, but the parking will remain. It won't be conveyed with the units. It will be the same parking situation in terms of grandfathered, non-conforming in the shoreland, and not provide additional parking. And that was one of the things that when I talked with our attorney and their attorney, that was one of the things that was laid out as an option.
So the condos would be sold without any parking.
Yes.
Grandfathered, I would take exception to the use of grandfathered there because I think grandfather is you built it, you did it back in 1970. The law came into effect in 1971. You're grandfathered into that. Shoreland zoning was in what, 75?
Yeah.
Somewhere about, Phil was placed after that. It's not,
I'm just talking about the project where the marina is not that across the street. Is that what you're talking about, the separate?
But they're interconnected because right now they're one business and they want to split it into two. And I know they've asked us this, and I think we were clear on the board. I'm not willing to accept that as a board member. They have one business, you're splitting it into two. We need to see both applicants. We can't just see one and deny or approve that one without knowing what happens to the other one. We need both.
I will get something in writing specific to that because my understanding from the brief conversation I had was that they intend to keep it together. So I don't want to put words in their mouth. So I will ask.
Okay, so that's a different application than they brought to us, though. So that would be, to me, a revised application. They would withdraw this one and submit a different one.
There's some unknowns,
But that would mean we'd have to start over because our public notice wouldn't count because they'd have a new application.
they could maybe amend the existing.
Well, maybe, yeah, you might be right. We might be able to get away with that, but
So
it's-
my understanding, we want to discuss at the next meeting, take care of whatever notices are required. And if indeed we make the decision to end the application, and we got the ability to do that at the next meeting. Is that agreeable?
Can I clarify one question? I just want to understand what you meant with the parking grandfather with the, is it the other boat ramps were approved with that middle parcel? Is that what they mean by grandfather?
I
we
said
don't-
that. And so what I was talking about, and it's grandfather is like existing legally non-conforming. The parking associated with the motel units is existing. The parking across the street is where there was parking and fill
Right.
without permitting. So I was talking about parking associated with the motel unit
Gotcha. Okay.
and marina, which I don't know when that was built, your question around the shoreland zoning. But that's not the parcel. The parcel across the street is the violation.
Parcel across the street
The parcel that,
from Turtle Run.
yeah, on the other side of Turtle Run, yeah.
So we all in agreement, we're going to table it to the next meeting. I'll put it on the agenda of the next meeting and then have perhaps an ongoing conversation or a final conversation, whichever is appropriate. All right, thank you. Now let's move on to folks from 65 Woodlawn Lane, 7A. Please give us a presentation. And as I understand it, currently tonight, we're talking through what you want to do and give you feedback and then we go forward from there with the application. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. And this is Mr. and Mrs. Dorr.
Wife. We're at 65 Woodlawn Lane, and we are on Lower Narrows Pond, which comes into play. Our situation is we have a very old garage that's separate from the building, the residential building, that needs to be demolished, reconstructed. Some of the things, there's a retaining wall that is given in. The foundation has given in. Those are the items that need to be replaced. Settling, tilting. It's a 1.5 car garage. We have it down here as a 1 car garage because it just holds 1 car, but size wise, 1.5. We need to remove the 2 existing retaining walls, one that runs parallel and perpendicular to the garage. One's a rock wall, the other is a cement. And we would replace those with solid pieces of cement blocking. Behind the garage, there is a large oak tree that needs to come down. Part of the retaining wall leans up against that oak tree, and when we remove the retaining wall, we're going to have problems. And the only time to get at that is when the garage is down. The second tree that we'd like to also bring into this is a maple that's right next to the house in that same parcel. That needs to come down. Again, it's losing a lot of branches. It's pretty good size. Accessibility being a big issue here. We're
That's the
talking-
maple right by the side of would be southwest wall,
Correct.
the garage wall.
That is an oak tree that's next to the garage.
You see the plan. The maple.
There's a good picture.
Yep.
It's
The
the one
maple.
that I'm-
That's the maple.
That's the other one.
Yeah,
Yo,
that's,
Thank you.
And
Go ahead.
we haven't spoken to anybody, but we have full intentions of replanting the trees that once they're removed. Softwood seems to grow better there, so that's my intention to go there. Runoff is going to be a big issue here during construction for obvious reasons with the narrows right there. We intend on taking care of that. They're using tubes, environmental tubes and environmental soil to retain the water runoff. Now, the garage reconstruction, we'd like to have the very same garage, very same footprint that's there right now. The only difference is from the garage has settled over the years. So we need to actually lift the ground up underneath the garage. So the garage isn't sunk down below the ground level. I've got in here the total estimated cubic yards that'll be used under the cement flooring at 46 cubic yards. And then there'll be, is it 15 cubic yards that's going to be used to bring the driveway up to the garage. Over the years, the dirt road has been built up. The driveway is caved in. So hasn't been good for the environment. It needs to be corrected. And that is it in a nutshell. And I would love to have your input. What do I need to correct and what do we need to do to give you a better picture of what's going on?
Thank you. Don?
I do not.
It is. It most certainly is. And we're going to have that confirmed before anything is done. I've got Dirigo Engineering in line to come in. That's going to be the very first step. We're going to have that taken care of either way here. The holding tank is probably, and this is going to be a guesstimation, 10 feet.
if this is roughly drawn to scale, I would say you've got 17 feet plus or minus between the holding tank and the garage. I know that's not exact, but one of the things we look at when we're looking at a project is this is a non-conforming structure. Number one, it's not 100 feet away from the water. Number two, it's not 10 feet off the property line.
Correct.
So my first question is it feasible to make that? You know, we didn't want to put it on the holding tank, but since you're completely removing it and completely rebuilding it, can we make this a more non-conform or less non-conforming structure?
Mhm.
So can we move it 10 feet over? So that was my first question to the applicant is I would say, yes, can we please move it over so it's at least non-conforming less on the side? And then my second question is, can we move it back further away from the water? So those are my two questions as far as, I think you're 70,
About 75
80.
feet.
well, with the 7, you'd be 82. So roughly, you know, you'd be 75, 82 feet. And your driveway is 19 feet, so you could come close to sliding it, but you're still going to be non-conforming.
Mhm.
So we fully understand that, and so the question is more, you know, can we make this as non-conforming as possible, as minimally non-conforming as possible? Thank you, sorry. I love to say that backwards not on purpose. So, but if we could make the side setback conforming by moving it over, and move it back any distance away from the water, that would be our recommendation for you, because it's again, now we're conforming with the side setback, which, and we understand you still have to remove the retaining wall, take down the trees. We're not changing that. We're just saying, is there a way to slide the structure over to now be conformed with our ordinance? So then your only non-conformity be the distance from the water, but we understand your lot doesn't even go far enough back. So that non-conformity, we can't make a reasonable assessment and say, no, you can't have it back. So that's typically what we've done, is say we're gonna make it as minimally non-conforming as possible. So that's our kind of purview. So I just wanted to say that out loud so you had a chance to kind of hear it and think about it. And say, when we see applicants, that's what we're asking them to do.
Right off the bat, I would say we definitely could set it over towards the house. I'd hate to go 10 feet and put it over by the tank, because then would be blocking part of the house, the view. But I could say bringing it up parallel with the house, that would definitely work. And we definitely could move it up towards the Woodlawn Lane. How much more would you want to go with that?
Well, he's conforming.
Like having a car length in the
Yeah.
driveway is appropriate.
It's reasonable to have a space there. So I would say, that's, again, just asking you the question. And
Yeah,
again, what we're trying to balance is the non-conforming structure and the, let's call it, hardship on the applicant. To not have a space to park or put something would be a loss to you, because you wouldn't have a place to park outside of the garage. You'd have to.
Like, how long is a truck? What's a stand?
Right, 19 feet, I was gonna say 19 feet is about what your max is now.
It was kind of already there.
We wouldn't let you move it closer to the water, because that would be increasing your non-conformity. We
Correct.
can't do that. So then the only question is, can we move it away from the property line? And again, the last thing we'd want to do is put it on your holding tank or impacting your holding tank. So we would want to make sure to stay a few feet away from that. So locating that and being sure where it really is before you moved it would be a reasonable thing if you came back as an applicant.
yeah.
Be sure you know exactly where it is, so that so that you wouldn't be like, oh, I can move it 10 feet, and then no, you don't have 17 feet, you only had 8 feet, and now you have to come back to us because you want to move it back.
Yeah. If, I'm just throwing this out there, if we were to move this garage towards the house in that direction, that would cause more ponding upwards of the house. It wouldn't let the proper drainage under normal conditions get through the normal process, which is downhill.
Right,
You'd
but
actually
that's,
be ponding in front of the house.
right, and that's where we might say things like, okay, well, put gutter drains or edge of the roof drains, put a dry well, put underground drainage. That's something to talk to your contractor, or if you're doing it yourself, that's something to think about, is how do you manage that runoff? So that's something else we're going to want to ask. That was my second question. So it was basically like, how are you managing the runoff?
Yeah,
Because you have basically excessive runoff in the 100-foot, in that 100-foot buffer that we like to see 100 feet from the lake, completely vegetated. So then the runoff is natural and the vegetation is going to be breaking it up and slowing it down. You don't have that. Your whole lot's only 100 feet. So we can't change that.
Right.
So we'd say, okay, if you're going to be rebuilding the garage anyways, can we build edge drains so that are covered with stone, so the runoff that comes off the roof goes into the ground and has a way to go to a dry well or some type of a external system, but very, very as far away from the of the lake as possible. What we're trying to do is take that surface runoff, the rain, transform it into groundwater. So by getting it into the ground, that's where a dry well, those kind of things, putting splash stones and having some kind of drainage that connects as far away from the water as possible, as far as away from the surface water lake as possible, getting it into the ground, and that would get that so you didn't have that surface runoff. So that would be the hope.
Question, actually, quickly. Just be safety or anything like.
No, you can attach it.
Well, if it's not attached, does there have to be
I don't
a,
think so.
egress or anything like that between them?
I don't believe so.
I didn't know, so that's why I was asking.
Well, if
Just
you would-
double checking.
If you attach it, you'd have fire requirements, but that's more of an
No, fire rating.
building standard.
If we do ask him to move, maybe it's only 5 feet from the sideline. I was just double checking because it is a narrow. It says 7 feet right now.
Right.
Was-
Let's see, a couple things you may not know the answer to. You mentioned environmental soil and environmental tubes,
Groups of
pipes,
socks. They.
environmental socks. Gotcha. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
They are
Um,
fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. And I assume the
They're
environmental
amazing.
soil is erosion control mix.
Control mix.
Gotcha.
That's what my assumption was.
Nitpicky thing.
Mhm.
I'm assuming this is not an actual holding tank. It's a septic tank.
No, that's a holding tank and it pumps across the road. I have property across the road.
You have a septic system across the road.
Yes,
Okay. So holding tank, stuff goes in, it doesn't come out unless you pump it out.
correct.
Well, from a pump truck. This is, I think it's a septic tank where your waste goes in, it separates sinkers and floaters.
Yep.
Floaters go into the pump and it pumps it up into the system.
Yes, that's,
One of the things that we would need to take into consideration too, I believe, is the state plumbing code has minimum setback distances from septic tanks and septic field structures from physical.
Building, 10 foot,
So we may say,
10 foot.
you've got to move, it's 10 foot
10
separation.
foot. And Mark can go down to 5 foot. Mark
Okay.
can approve down to 5 foot.
Gotcha.
Okay.
If time allows, and we are looking at setting up some site visits, I think this would be a good one to people to go stand and take a look at and.
We had a
What-
schedule,
what-
we had a schedule last Saturday, but it fell through.
Yes.
That's up to the resident, the owners if they want to accommodate you. Right?
I think I'm all set. It looks like a doable project and are you,
a question concerning your point.
yes,
Do I have to be so far from the holding tank?
There,
garage?
I think there is a setback and you've got to, that's why I said you want to talk to Mark and know where your tank is.
Yeah,
Exactly where your tank is.
yeah, well, I've got it all actually written out.
Okay.
So I believe Steve took that into consideration, but I will check it. If you can make note.
Well, the dimension you mentioned that you thought it was 10 foot, I believe that's the minimum, but Mark can approve that. He can change that down to, I think, 5 feet.
Okay. Okay.
And if you don't have 15 feet between the tank and the existing building, it may be that you're only going to be 8 feet away from the sidelines. But again, that's still more conforming than 0. So we understand there's limitations here. You can only move it so far.
I understand and I appreciate your point.
And the other thing is you're going to get a survey. Obviously, you mentioned that, but again, just me reacting to being on my property line. I've just worked on a project that we had that issue. In fact, the cesspool was over the property line. It split it. Not a good situation. So, required managing. So my comfort level is a lot higher being so many feet from that line rather than on it. For what it's worth. My turn?
It's a valid.
I'm gonna go at it a different way. Across the road is just drainage field.
Mhm.
Is there a septic tank up there too?
No,
So this is acting as a septic tank then? The holding tank is acting?
I think that's what
Yes.
he.
Yeah, that is
People
your,
do this for a living. It's a septic tank.
well, technically that is your septic tank. That's where the bacterial decay occurs. You're pumping the gray water basically up to the drainage field.
Yes.
Now that said, and again, this is hypothetical.
Mhm.
If you had the money and you had the desire, would you desire to have that garage attached to your house?
Excuse me?
Would your preference be to have that garage attached to the house?
I never gave it a thought, to be honest with you.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay,
Yeah, I always thought I had to stay on the same footprint.
that's my point, is we're trying to help you understand what your options are
Hmm.
to be able to do what you want to do. Now, that said, has your structure been increased in size at all over the years?
No,
So your home is the original size?
it is.
You have not had 30% expansion?
No.
Okay. You know where I'm going with this? And you guys jump in if I'm out in left field, okay? But if indeed your desire was to have two-car garage attached to your house, yeah, you probably got to deal with your drainage, your septic tank. If that was your desire, would you want to do that? And again, you said you haven't thought about it, so,
Yeah, right off the top of my head, I'd say no. It
okay,
probably comes down to money.
fair enough. Yeah, and I said if you had enough money.
In the perfect world,
But I assure you that you're talking about a garage and a half, a two garage not going to cost you much more,
yeah,
relatively speaking.
yeah. I've been told it's not consistent where a garage has to be equal to 4x8, the dimensions. Everything's got to be equal to those dimensions, either 4 foot or 8.
Right,
And this one is not that. So if it was a little bigger, it wouldn't have cost me a penny more.
correct. And that's my whole point.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to do is open the window up so you can see what your options are. You get to do this maybe once or twice in your lifetime, so I want you to be efficient
Yeah,
about
I
it.
didn't realize that was an option, to be
Well,
honest with you.
again, correct me if I'm wrong here, you got the ability to expand 30%, which he hasn't done before. You got the ability to,
Other than impervious, that's, yeah.
okay, and that's a calculation. What they're talking about is if indeed you increase the size of it, moving it wouldn't change it. You change it, stayed the same size, right?
Assuming, one of the calculations that we probably I should have mentioned that. So you got to take your whole property and calculate what your impervious cover is. And that would be anything that's not vegetated. So it's going to be your roof, not the building, the roof,
Mhm.
the garage, the driveway, walkways, decks, anything that's basically not vegetated. So, and that's what your impervious cover, and then divide, take that number, say it works out to be 3,000, 4,000 square feet. Your property is, 20,000 square feet. You'd say, oh, my impervious cover is 25 or 20% if I'm 4,000 and 40,000 and 20,000. If your property's smaller, that percentage changes. You're not allowed to go increase above 20% in the shoreline zone. But if you're already at 25 or if you're already at 30%, you can maintain that. But what Rick was suggesting is expanding maybe a house or a building. You have that ability to expand 30% in a structure. You cannot expand your impervious, so you have to take it away from
Greater
someone
than what it
else.
is, right?
Right. So if you might, if
35%.
you wanted to expand the size of your garage, you'd have to shrink your driveway.
Mhm.
And that would give you that ability.
Well,
So
on-
just making sure you understand the
Well,
number,
on that line, he'd be doing away with the driveway,
potentially.
potential. I mean, that's the kind of
Potentially.
mechanics you're talking.
Exactly. That's the type of thing you'd be able to do is if you wanted to expand the garage and shrink the driveway, it's a 1-for-1 ratio.
Mhm.
For every square foot of driveway you took out, you could add a square foot to the garage because your impervious would stay the same.
Mhm.
If that makes sense.
Well, that said, that you also own property, part of this parcel is the property behind the septic system, the drainage field, right?
Correct.
You have a fairly good sized lot up there.
Correct.
Is that vegetated?
Yes,
And that's a pretty good, in fact, that was the original Woodlawn right away, right?
that is correct.
Right. And that's probably what, 50 by 200?
Yeah, it's about that.
That would be counted as part of that area, right? That's part of his property. The Woodlawn goes through it.
Except we do the impervious separate for the 100-foot in and 100-foot out.
Correct.
So, and because the 100-foot is basically the road, I don't think that property would be included. So
So his joint property, even though the road's going through it,
because we do 100-foot, your
got
impervious
you.
is
Okay.
calculated
I
separately.
stand corrected?
So just because of the distance of the road, but because you own property on the other side, that would be another question we would ask you when we do a site visit. We didn't really know that going in. We're like, well, the first thing is we can make a completely conforming structure on the other side of the road.
I don't believe so because it is a right of way. And you cannot build on a right of way from what I understand.
Okay, that's the stipulation. Okay.
Okay, so you own it and you could put your leach field on it, but you can't build on it.
I can go underground, I can't go above ground.
Okay. So that's an important thing for us to understand, that say that's a limiting factor that you cannot use that for a structure. So
Correct.
that's not an option. So we cannot build a conforming structure. We have to be bound by the non-conforming structure.
That's it right there.
Okay.
It
So
goes across 4 properties, right? or three?
One, three.
I'm looking at the drawing here. I see your property
On the opposite side,
is,
it's just beyond the tennis court, coming further in.
if you look at the drawing, you can see that strip I'm talking about. And again, I'm just sharing information, that's all.
Make a note.
Yes,
Rick's talking about in the 100 feet, outside of the 100 feet. The 30% expansion applies there, but the 20% is all of the
Whole lot.
shoreland zone. If there's anything
Okay.
on the
so
250.
that's what he's saying, the 100-foot
So it's
versus,
the 250 line.
250.
It's the 250 line.
Yes.
Okay.
Percent within.
so that would be
So
incorporated.
that would be incorporated because he can't build on it. Doesn't mean he can't use that as vegetated. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think what we just got done saying was that the 250 is that zone. That's the point Don is making. So point Greg was making, it's not 100-foot, it's 250 feet. And so help me, all that property would be included in that calculation.
With all within the 250 foot, which it kind of looked like it would be, it would all,
All your property would be in that calculation for the 20% or whatever it is.
Mhm.
that might make your percentage go down quite a bit where you could build that garage and it's not changing your impervious cover or your non-vegetated area over that 20% cap.
Mhm.
So you wouldn't have to worry about, but again, you got to do the numbers to figure out where you're going to be.
Yeah,
So I'm not trying to talk you out of what you want to do. I'm just trying to share with you your options.
yeah, I appreciate that. I'm kind of sold on what's there already, but I
Okay.
do appreciate your input because
So
Not
let me
aware.
summarize then, if that's your approach, then what Greg's recommending is increasing the setback from the sideline, whatever you can. Given the restriction of the septic tank
Mhm.
and staying with the size, any other points? Have we given you enough feedback or?
Actually, it's been very positive. So,
And so I think that any input from anybody else? Again, tonight's meeting is about discovery and what is it you want to do, give your feedback. And then the next step would be the application for approval. We're not in a position to indicate whether the application is complete. That would be your next step.
okay,
Any questions of us?
I guess we're all set.
And Don clearly understands what we're talking. Go ahead, Don.
If I do, I just want to get clear on, so the next meeting is the 11th. That's the anticipated. You've laid out some different options for the applicant to think about. Are you scheduling a site walk and are you actually strongly suggesting changes or you just, you're not asking for anything to be changed then? You're just saying, here's some options.
No, we're just telling them his option. I mean, this was about discovery.
It has to have enough time to be noticed, butters to go out.
You need the information by like this Friday. And if they're moving the structure, then they need to change the application. So we're just talking about the timing of the application and because Dawn has to get it out 2 weeks before the meeting and everything. They would have to be ready like now in order for her to get it out so that we could put it on the next agenda. No, you're right. We would add it into the workshop if we could, but there's not enough time. Yeah, there's not enough time right now.
Don?
And I know it's up to the applicant. They're going to submit even though they've heard what you said. Are you expecting changes to the print?
It sounds like Greg was recommending it moving off the line to what he could.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I heard.
And I think if the applicant believes he can do that, go ahead and move it on your drawings. If you don't think you can, then I think we should go and take a
Right.
look at it, do a site visit and have a collective view of what's going on and go, yeah, that does make sense to move it, or no, it doesn't make sense. So he's not having to submit something. We then say, oh, back.
Yeah. It could be the terrain, it could be the rocks,
Exactly.
there's other factors that we would consider in a site walk. That's why we were saying, a site walk is not a bad idea.
Mhm.
So that we can already see what you're seeing as far as limitations.
What's the earliest we could do the site walk? What is the earliest we could do the site walk? Week from Saturday or Saturday?
It's in advance. And
So it's not Saturday then. We could do it Saturday?
Yeah, this,
What did you say? You can walk it anyway.
Saturday's not good for me.
It is not. Okay, so week from Saturday,
A week from Saturday would be.
that would work? Is that agreeable?
24th?
Yep.
Yep.
What's that?
It's a good time.
10? That okay?
Yes, I would recommend creepers. It's really icy in that.
Well, we have a week and a half. We'll see what happens in the weather.
Yeah.
right.
It could
It'd
change
be
quite a bit
snowshoes.
between now.
We may cancel.
But we might need to break out, bring our muck boots.
So Dawn stands ready to help you if there's any questions about what we discussed tonight, in terms of options and, discovery.
That's
Sidewalk
on the
will
app.
help.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Yep. And so the next meeting, which is the 10th, you said? Oh, 11th? 11th of February? We were trying to get you in tonight so we could have this discussion, so we appreciate you coming in.
Well, I appreciate your help as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You need to go? We'll still have a
Oh,
quorum.
yeah.
I think the only thing we have left, Jamie, is tomorrow and we're adjourning.
What's that?
Maybe I'm wrong. It looks like
Other business.
Dawn crossed everything off except for there's a meeting tomorrow.
I was like, hold on.
Next one is 8D. On?
So this was just wanted to officially remind you guys that the council's having that meeting tomorrow night. We discussed it briefly.
6 o'clock, right?
6 o'clock, yep. And there isn't a requirement to attend. Wanted to make sure you're aware of it because the work is coming this way. And I want to make sure that I'm very clear on what it is that we're being asked to do.
Now, do we have handouts for 6 things to give to them tomorrow night?
Yes, so that was the other thing. So
Everybody know what I'm talking about?
night.
The work we've done with
Approved, yeah, the thing.
we approved. I thought we'd hand it out tomorrow night. and-
Yep.
So there's a memo, and I can send you that memo so you can click the digital links. But if you see anything in there between now and 6 o'clock tomorrow night that seems inaccurate, let me know. But the intention is to hand out that memo with the changes, exactly as that's there in advance anticipation of them scheduling a public hearing for that. So that's not what tomorrow night is about, but Rick and I talked about.
Now, that said, if they start asking questions, I'll answer them. We'll answer them on those items. The intent is to give it to them for future discussion, but how many can make it tomorrow night?
I'm gonna try. I'm not sure.
You can't? Okay, so Dawn and I,
Try to zoom in. I'll have nothing to do with it. What time is it at? 6?
6. And we're right on the agenda, right? It's in here.
It's a memo to the council and Anthony.
Was it in this?
Yep, and it
okay.
summarizes the changes, the ordinance changes, and then the other one is our memos from Anthony with the council agenda, what they're going to discuss tomorrow night. If I could just add, we have, Brenton has applied to move up to a full member. And Dwight Dowdy, I don't know if any of you know him, he has applied to be on the planning board. So I would assume at the first February meeting, the council, because Aaron has to be acknowledged formally as stepping off because he submitted something in writing, Brent has since applied, and Dwight. So I expect that then at the next regular meeting, we'll have some official changes to the
Well, I didn't get the name, but there was,
Dwight Dowdy.
so the one
That's how you
person.
pronounce it, Doughty. And he's got a technical background. I apologize, I don't recall if he's a geologist. It's he has a scientific background.
Oh, my goodness.
I make fun of geologists, just so you know.
He had a good background, so hopefully that's going to be helpful.
Nerd out together like.
Another engineer.
No, he's a geologist. Big difference.
Yeah, you're right. there.
Big difference.
Correct on that.
That's okay.
To the town council, I'm not sure if they're aware, I'm not sure how up to speed on it you are from a regulatory standpoint, but with the Trump administration's cancellation of renewable energy credits, that's what's been driving a lot of the solar development for the last 8 years or so, 8 or 10 years, is the renewable energy credits, which are helping subsidize development. I think you're going to see I think we've got 2 on the books now that have been approved in Winthrop, maybe 3
Right.
that
At
will,
least 2.
that will not be built. The one on 202 may be built because I think they tried to break ground December
Out in Pond?
31st.
Carlton Pond?
No, right on 202.
No, the one on 202 that.
I think that's the one that's caused all the uproar.
Yes.
People are like, what is this?
That,
From the veterinarian.
That's 202. That's what we're talking.
I'm talking about down on Carlton Pond.
Oh, yeah, and the one that's off the
I
industrial.
don't think that's ever going to get
I
built.
don't, yeah, I think you're right.
so they're
Carlton
not going to
Pond.
be built.
I don't think so.
Because the funding is,
They don't,
Yep.
they don't get the tax credits they used to get. So,
They cut it in half.
Yeah.
Project side.
I don't think it'll go forward.
Turkey Lane?
It's, yeah. To me.
I mean, the guys out on the industrial park, Winota,
Oh, yeah.
those, yeah, those guys, they hadn't started. My guess is like Brent.
They run out of money too.
Well, I'm guessing that credit is going to go away, which makes these projects less.
They had to have, for people that receive approvals and credits, they had to have ground broken by December 31st. So that's why they had excavators up there on December 31st, was
That's why-
making it look like they were breaking ground. I don't know if they broke ground or not. That's up to Mark, I guess. They probably would because it was expired at the end of December. So I think that
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 makes
might go
sense
a
now.
ways to alleviate some of the concerns that there's going to be all this solar development happening, because it's just not going to be.
Okay, so Brent, where was Brent's? Oh, that's in here. Thank you, Brent, for doing that.
Sure.
What's
Tell
your,
you about solar.
there, I want to.
It will still go forward. There will be developers that are going to be developing big, large utility scale projects. It's not going to, you're not going to be seeing the small stuff that we have. No.
so,
Horrible.
Brent created and distributed, a draft dealing with the 250-foot, relative to public water supply. Great job. Appreciate it. That'll be on the agenda next time, right?
The work plan, yes, yep.
Okay. Anything else, Don?
All I have for tonight.
Jamie? Greg? Brent?
I am good. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All right.
Thank you.